All right, so the next one that we want to talk about is being bulky, spot toning, and like how to decrease body fat. So whenever someone comes to me and they say, hey, I really want to tone, I want to tone my shoulders, I want to tone my arms, I want to tone my hips, a lot of times what they're trying to tell me is I want those to be more defined, right? I want to see them more. And so this is kind of a two-phase process, right? If we take anything and we peel away some of the covering, it becomes a little bit more defined, right? And so our muscles are covered by layers of fat, like it's part of our body. It's natural. That's also what keeps us warm. And so if we want to tone a certain area, fat needs to be removed from that area. So unfortunately, at this point, we haven't figured it out. And if I figure it out, I'm going to be a gazillionaire if I can figure out how to specifically spot reduce fat from different points of your body. We have not figured it out yet. And so if I figure it out, it is a $1 trillion idea. But I'm not trying to figure it out either. So that will probably not be the case. So what happens is our body takes fat away systemically. So we can't really tell where it's going to take fat from. We can influence a little bit. We've seen that hormones seem to have an influence with this. You see the differences between male and females and where they store body fat. And men typically lose body fat a little bit faster than females. And our thinking is testosterone, hormones, that kind of stuff. We're not quite sure. And so, but we know that it does take fat systemically. And so in order for things to become really defined, we have to get to a low enough body fat percentage where our stubborn areas have started to become defined. And so stubborn areas for some people might be their hips, might be inner thigh, maybe it's shoulders, but we basically have to get to a low enough body fat percentage where those things start to become a little bit more defined. But then we can also work at the size of those muscles, right? So if I had a layer of body fat that was covering, let's say, my shoulder, okay, I can reduce that body fat so there's less covering there. But the other thing I can do is start to increase the size of that muscle that lives there, right? By increasing the size of that muscle, I now spread that body fat out a little bit more and we create a little bit more definition. And so if I want to, I'm not necessarily going to lose more body fat in my shoulders if I'm working my shoulders, but I can work those shoulders maybe at a rep range of 12 to 15. So we're in that kind of hypertrophy range, which hypertrophy means just growing, right? It means getting bigger. We can increase the size of my shoulders. So now I spread that body fat out a little bit more and I get a little bit more definition in those shoulders. And so if someone came to me and they're like, hey, I want more defined shoulders, I want more toned shoulders. All right, we look at it a two-pronged approach. One is a fat loss approach. We need to get leaner, which is just the way it is. And then we'd also start to work that area a little bit and see if we can increase the size of those muscles. So that's just that's a good way to, it's not spot reducing because we're not necessarily specifically losing it, but a two-step approach on like how to attack that a little bit more.